Welcome to the joy of coding.
Welcome to episode 29 of The Joy of Coding. Uh, I'm Mike Conley. I'm going to be hacking on Firefox again today. It's another day, another set of bugs. Let's dive right in. Here is my screen. Here is my Evernote. And here is the agenda. So, if you scroll down, if you're watching this on Air Mozilla, if you scroll down, there's an additional links tab, and if you click on that, there'll be a link to this agenda. If you're watching this on YouTube or my blog, there should hopefully be a link somewhere near the video referencing the agenda, and what you'll get is this live document with links and things you can click around in. And basically, it's outlining some useful things like what we're going to be doing today and other useful links, maybe some terms that you hear me use and you're not sure what they mean. And yeah, let's figure out what we're doing today. Today is, I believe we were working on this same bug last week, and I kind of shelved it after we worked on it. I haven't worked on it again since we were working on it last week, but some new information has come to light just today, and I wanted to tell you about it. So the bug I'm talking about is about the page style. This thing, if you were to go to view page style, we're using uh, kapows whenever we populate that pop-up menu, and we're not supposed to be using kapows. We're supposed to be getting rid of kapows. And if you're interested in knowing about all the other stuff I've tried, just watch the last video. Watch episode 28, because that's what the last episode was all about. And we got pretty far along. We filled in a bunch of information here. Uh, One thing that was worrying me, though, was I thought I had found a solution, and the solution was using like. So the problem is we need to be able to tell the parent whenever, or the parent needs to know whenever this pop-up comes up what style sheets to put in here, and the way it's currently done is it synchronously communicates with the content process to like figure out what to put in here, because there might be alternative style sheets, and that's not great. That's going to use kapows. And so one idea that we'd had, well, there were a couple of ideas. One idea was, well, maybe we'll just populate this thing asynchronously. So you'll get the two basic menu items, and then you'll send a message down to the child saying, well, what are the style sheets for this page? And then it'll like expand with more entries if there are more entries for the page. So that was one idea. The other idea was every time a page loads, have it like when a page is finished loading at the top level, have the content process scan the page for all of the style sheets, and then send a list, a structured list, up to the parent, and the parent will cache it. And that way, when the parent wants to populate this list, it just reads the cache. And it should be more or less up to date. But the problem was knowing whenever things like dynamic style sheets were added or removed. And so I had found these two events, these like style sheet added and style sheet change events is what they're called. But they were disabled by default. I think they were originally they were originally supposed to be used for dev tools, but no one was actually using them. So I turned them on. It turns out whenever I flip them on permanently, that they cause some performance regressions. I wasn't sure why that was, and I kind of thought about it a bit, and I eventually started to bail on this idea of doing the caching. But then I got another bit of info. Gijs, a fellow member of the Firefox desktop team, pointed me at these two events that are fired, DOM link added and DOM link removed. And he said that these are actually used for things like favicons. So whenever a page potentially changes a favicon, we message the parent. And that's because favicons are defined using link elements in the DOM. If you, what's a good way of demonstrating that? How do you do favicon web? How to add a shortcut here. MSDN has a page about it, showing some old screenshots of Internet Explorer. But there's like, you add this link element, and you say it's a shortcut icon, and then you pass an anchor, or sorry, a reference to the path to the icon. And the same thing goes for style sheets as well. Style sheets also use these link elements. Style sheet CSS. Just want to show you an example. Well, I could just show you the source of this page. If we look for a style sheet here, boom, it's right here. Link rel style sheet, and then it has a link to a CSS document. Or a CSS sheet? Document? Is a CSS file a document or a sheet? I think it's a sheet. I don't know if it matters. But yeah, that's how you add CSS, is you use those link elements. So we have these other events apparently called DOM-link added, DOM-link removed, and presumably DOM-link changed. I'm going to assume that DOM-link changed exists. Yes, it does. These are Chrome only events, which is good. And we can listen for those and detect whenever, style sheets are changed on the fly, added on the fly, or removed on the fly. And we'd have the parent flush the cache, which I think might work. I think this will work. My one concern is that this might introduce performance regressions, because it's going to cause the content process to scan every document in a tree whenever you're viewing a tab. Whenever like a tab first loads, it's going to scan itself and all its subdocuments for its style sheets. And I don't know if that's going to be expensive or cheap or what. But we'll find out. So I think let's try this route. So let's figure out what we want to do today. Like, we did a lot of exploration last week. We didn't actually write any code. It was a lot of like thinking about stuff, testing things. We didn't really write anything. So let's see if we can actually get some stuff written today. So let's put together a plan.
Here we go!
So the plan is when a tab is finished loading, scan the root document, scan all documents for their style sheets, and send the list up to the parent for it to cache. Okay, we can do that. Have the parent listen for a message from the child regarding style sheets to cache, and cache the style sheets. Okay, and then when page style menu is opened, read from the cache, and then when style sheets change in the child, update the parent. Now there are two ways of doing that. You can either just have the child rescan everything and then just have it send it all up to the parent and have the parent replace the cache, or you can just invalidate a small part of the cache saying, well, this style sheet was removed. I'm not sure which is better. Probably it probably depends on how many documents there are and how many style sheets there are. It might scale that way. I'm not too worried about this, but we're going to update the parent somehow. So I think this is the plan. I'm going to try and do this. So let's get started. I have a build of Firefox all ready to go here. And where should we do this work? Well, I've got a bunch of files open in here. I don't need those anymore. I don't need that. Just going to close all those things. Going to clear the palette. So there was a build problem as well this morning. I pulled from Central and I couldn't build because there was some thing going on that's related to the operating system I'm running, but I found a fix that someone had posted in a bug, and I have a feeling that's going to land on a tree soon, but I'll need it until it does, so I'm just going to call this a build fix, and I'll commit it on top, and I will strip it off whenever the actual fix lands. Okay, and then what I want to do is where's a good place to do this scanning? Something tells me that content.js is the right place. Because we've got, yeah, content.js, and then there was tab content.js. I'm not sure why we have this, what's the difference between tab content.js and content.js. I have a feeling content.js might be used in other remote browsers that are used elsewhere, like say the view source browser in a new window, or browsers built into pop-ups like the social API thing for sharing documents or whatnot. So it's possible that all of the shared stuff goes into content.js, and just for like Firefox tabs, tab content does it. So maybe tab content makes the most sense to do the listening, but hard to say. Let's do it in content.js for now. So we're gonna, let's see. Is there anything else about style sheets in here? Style sheet. Get feeds info. Well, there's the page info listener. And then there is the thing that does send up the kapow, page style handler. Where is that? That's in tab content. Style handler. Here we go. The reason I'm thinking of putting it in content.js is because this is where the content link handler is instantiated. And the content link handler is this thing that already listens for DOM link added, DOM link changed events. But maybe we should, like, the content link handler, I don't know what we want to do here. Alternate. So you can get, we split up the rel string. White space. I guess these are things that can go inside the rel attribute of a link, mdn link node. What is link? What's the link element? What can you put in the rel attribute? Rel. Link type values. Alternate. Defines an alternative style sheet. Okay. Interesting. There's an update. So these are a lot of things that can go inside the rel attribute, but I think we only care about a very small set. Let's see here. What are we doing in here? So this is whenever we see if what's been added is a feed. It's in order to register a new feed. I see. A feed's been added. An icon's been added. I see. And then added, and then what else? There's so who listens to link add feed? I'm just curious to know how all this ties together. The parent in browser.js listens to it, and the DOM link handler, and the window message manager. I see. Okay. Why the window message manager? Alright. This add feed. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Places wants to be able to know about various feeds on different pages. I have no idea. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is orthogonal. But maybe we can do something similar here. So I want to know more about how these events work. This DOM link added event, is it going to be fired? So here's a question. This is the question I want to answer. Is DOM link added fired for every DOM link node when the DOM is first being loaded? Or is it fired only after the DOM has finished loading? I suspect it's the former. And so let's find out. So hypothesis: DOM link added is fired every time, even during DOM load. Test: add a breakpoint in the content toolbox, browser content toolbox. That's what we use to debug scripts and stuff in the content process. Add a breakpoint in the browser content toolbox for the DOM link added DOM link added event, and see if we hit it by just loading a page. And I suspect that's just what's going to happen, because otherwise I wouldn't imagine there are too many pages that are dynamically adding link nodes for things like feeds. So I would imagine that this machinery all in here is being exercised every time you load a page, which is good, because like if this was done and is acceptable performance-wise, then we should be safe. Like I have a feeling that we're not adding too much extra overhead. So let's check. So I'm going to run Firefox nightly.
That's right!
We're going to see if I'm right. See if it's a that's right kind of moment. So let's make sure I'm running with E10S enabled. Yes, that is the case. So what I want to do is open the content toolbox. Whoops. And I'm going to add a breakpoint. Let me just expand this. So on link event. Alright, this is what we will do. And let's see what happens. I'm going to load Mozilla.org. Boom, we hit it. And what's nice is that it doesn't like seem to block the loading of the page because they're all asynchronous messages. And that's good. And there's a lot of things going through here. There are a lot of link elements. But hey, that's great. We can work with this. So we're already doing the job of like seeing all of the link elements coming up, and that I believe that'll also be the case for iframes as well. And I can test that. How do I test that? What's a good way of testing that? Well, I need an iframe example, and where the iframe has a style sheet. So let's see, iframe example. Sure. This is an example of what? Be inside an iframe. Iframe example. So does this page? Whoop! Did I hit my breakpoint? How come is view sourcing? What is happening here? Is view sourcing an iframe broken? Okay. Well, the good news is it does have a style sheet, so I can check again just by setting the breakpoint here and then reloading this style sheet, or reloading this frame. Do I hit my breakpoint? I do not. I did not hit my breakpoint. That's very interesting. I did not expect that. Let me view the source again. So the frame, body styles and standard styles. If I reload this page, I do hit the breakpoint. Oh, because I put the breakpoint in the wrong place. I wanted to put it over here. That's what I want to do. So let's... No, I still don't hit it. What the dealio? If I reload this page, I hit it. What? Event, original target. It's a short link, so I'll go again. Link. It's an image, that's your favicon. And that's it. I don't get any DOM-link added events for subframes. So, result. Yes, I do get DOM-link added fired on the content fired in content link handler during DOM content loaded for every link node. Okay. So here's the problem. I don't appear, however, to be getting DOM link added events for style sheets in subframes. Why is that? Like if I were to change, if I were to inspect this iframe, wow, this browser's just hosed. Oh wait, have I hit my breakpoint? No. What's going on? How come DevTools is busted? There's like a bunch of error messages here. This is not good. Services is not defined apparently in content session store. Oh my. No wonder that wouldn't. Wait, what? This is an unrelated problem. I don't want to get too distracted. But apparently services is not defined in here. It's true. Why is services not being imported in this frame script? Uh, Weird. And yet, it's definitely being used all over the place. I am freaked out, but this is not my problem right now. I'm trying to solve this problem, so I'm gonna shut this down, start over. Maybe I was just in a really bad state. Okay, so now can I inspect this? Yes. Okie dokie. That's some weird stuff. Okay, so I'm inside this iframe. And I want to like... Where is actually the iframe? Here it is. So I'm going to remove one of these style sheets. And I'll see if... Or I'm going to change the style sheet and see if that causes DOM link change to be fired. Content link handler. DOM link added. Changed and added are what it's monitoring for. So what if I change this to body style.css? Nothing. I don't get a DOM link added event. So that's no good. That kind of puts a crimp in our plans. Wait, ignore subframes. Well, we never even get this far, but what are these referring to? So it's possible that these two events, DOM link added and DOM link changed, are designed so that they don't fire for subframes, which would kind of blow. When are they fired? Let's find out. Man, and I thought we were onto something here. Oh, create and dispatch event. You fire it on the owner doc, DOM link added. So if I were to attach a breakpoint, so let's see, let's find out what nightly is. Nope, nope, nope. No, not that one. I need to know. I need the nightly web content that's very young. Nightly web content. Which one of these is young? This one. 56592. That's the one I'm going to attach to. 56592. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break that should lock this. Yep. I can still pan, but like I can't select anything because the content process is now locked up. And I'm going to break on HTML link. Let's say link removed. Let's do that. I'll remove the link using the inspector. Do that, and also do added because I'll undo and put it back. Okay, so we will continue. So now everything is hunky-dory again. And now I'm going to delete this node. And nothing fired. I didn't hit my breakpoint. What? Link added. So okay, so that's interesting. Find callers. Who calls link removed? Huh. That happens whenever we do a page hide. Okay, so like if I were to browse this iframe somewhere else, source myconley.ca. Do I hit my breakpoint? No. Get root element. If there's a root, I don't understand it. Well, maybe there's some documentation for these events. DOM link added. Maybe I should be reading. Ah. DOM link. It's called DOM link handler object. What's the DOM link handler? Sorry. What are you talking about? DOM link handler. Not Dominic handler. Ruffle. Okay, I don't think that was useful. Why am I searching with Bing? Why is Bing my default search right now? What has happened here? Bing. DOM link added. Yeah, here we go. These are actually like the W3C talks about these. Event reference. That's useful. DOM link added. A link has been added to a document. Great. Bubbles. So there's nothing in here that says whether or not. Oh! The event target. It was the topmost target in the DOM tree. There's nothing in here that says that it should be restricted to the topmost frame. So I don't exactly know what's going on here. Well, that's weird. I'm not hitting any of my breakpoints now. This entire experiment might be just garbage because I'm not hitting any of those breakpoints. Okay, perhaps my tools are lying to me. What I should do is go back to that test case that we had created. I think we had created a test case last week. Let me find a good window. Suppress style. What would test? What would I have called it? Oh man, what did I do last? CSS test? Is that what it was? Yes, inner. That's what it was called. So I make note of that. I've got a local test folder that I can use called CSS test. Okay, that I will remember. So let's try this again, but under more controlled circumstance. Simple HTTP server. So now I will browse to localhost, and that works. And inner, I think there was also like something tricky I was doing, like yeah, I added a second style sheet after 5 seconds. I'm going to make that after 2 seconds, and I'm going to import the same script in inner.html. And that way, hopefully we'll see this breakpoint hit twice. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Nada. Oh, there we go. Here, what if I shift reload? There, that's more like it. It was caching that was burning me here. So 1, 2, boom, and they both turn red. So if I were to browse my breakpointed instance of Firefox here, 1, 2, they go, and yet I'm not hitting these breakpoints that I've added. I can't explain that. What about in here again? Let's go back to this thing. Content link handler. DOM link added. That's the event we're listening to on the Chrome Global. Nothing. What if this tab is busted? Let me try a new tab. Oh, and we shut down the new tab. No, about home. There. Now we have a new content process. So yeah, that's why that thing is closed. And new content toolbox. Content link handler. Unlink added. So, did I hit it? No, I did not. And yet, if I were to go to some other page, I do hit it. But if I go back to localhost, I don't. I don't understand. What's the distinction? What's your problem? Localhost is running in the content process. Why wouldn't you fire DOM link added? Is there something else that is swallowing up this event? I'm not even sure it's being fired. This is very interesting stuff. I cannot explain what I'm seeing, but do not despair. we will solve this. The question is how? How are we going to solve this? Well, we know that under certain circumstances, DOM link added is being fired. Let's see if we can find out. Let's get a stack for when it works. So let me find the youngest nightly web. 56651 is what I'll attach to. And I will re-add those breakpoints. So break on link added. I'll do, you know what I'll do is HTML link element and then create and dispatch event. I think that will be good enough. And make sure we don't hit it when we reload this page. We do hit it. Interesting. Create and dispatch event. Then what happens? We return. We returned early. Why? Why? If there's no rel. Is that why? Did I do this wrong? There's no rel? I did say rel style sheet there. And what about script? Yeah, it does have a rel, so it does. If find attribute value in no names, what, and rel strings ignore case attribute value no match. So what does this comment say? In the unlikely case that both rev is specified and rel equals style sheet, rev is specified. This code will cause the event to fire on the principle that maybe the page really does want to specify that its author is a style sheet. Since this should never actually happen, the performance is minimal. Doing the right thing costs virtually nothing here, even if it doesn't make much sense. Rev and rel. What's rev? Revision, I would have thought. Link types. Rev. Rev. I don't see anything in here about rev. Let's continue. Has non-empty attribute. I don't think we ever execute find attribute value in, right? Find attribute value in. Let's just make sure. It's on element. So I'll break on that. Find attribute element, or attribute value in. Okay, so we do properly enter here, and the name that we're looking for is rev, I think. Wait. Rel. Strings is what? I don't know what strings is. Strings is empty or style sheet. Maybe we don't ever fire the DOM theory. theory, hypothesis, which will kind of knock our plan out of the water, but as DOM link added is never fired for style sheets. Test. I don't know how, but I think that's the case because has non-empty. If we find find attribute value in, and so we're looking inside the rel attribute, and if it's not equal, and we have these strings, and the strings is the empty string and then the style sheet string, and we're ignoring cases. If it's not no match, what does that mean? Has non-empty attribute. What is this? Is it possible that this code is just flat out wrong? Because this comment seems to have absolutely nothing to do. Like, I'm pretty sure DOM link added is supposed to fire for style sheets, but I don't think it does. I don't think it does right now. Let's see if there's any bug on that. DOM link added. There's already stuff about E10S in here. E10S support for DOM link added. Unify checks for DOM link added. Add a message API for DOM, title change, DOM link added. This was done way back in 2010. DOM link added. Whoop. DOM link added. It's purely for fav icons, I think. Okay, unrelated. Run DOM link handler code in a content script back in 2014. And that's when the content link handler was created. Does it say anything about style sheets in here? No. Interesting. So let's look at the code again. The code says if rev has a non-empty attribute, rev, both rev is specified. What is the rev attribute? I've never even heard. Link rev attribute. Current document is part of the Wildcats page. It's not supported anymore. Is the reverse of the related. So this is the negation of has non-empty attribute. So if it was empty, then this would be true, which makes this false because we negate it. No, wait. There's a lot of bit flipping going on in my head. Has non-empty attribute. So it's not has non-empty attribute. What does that resolve to? Not has non-empty attribute equals has empty attribute. Has empty attribute. So if has empty attribute rev and that's interesting. It looks like for some reason, if there's no rev attribute and there's a style sheet, then we don't fire the event. So let me see if I can verify that. And that to me sounds broken. Let me disable. Break, disable 7. So how will I test that? I will test that by editing index and saying rev equals foo. And then in inner, or in script, I'll also do ss.rev equals foo. If this works, I think there's a slight bug here. Okay, well, let's try it. Reload. What's going to happen? We do fire it. This is hilarious. Okay, so that's the problem. The DOM link was added. So I'm going to detach my debugger. And let's reload that again. Whoop. We hit it once. And we hit it only once. It's interesting. Who do we hit it for? This event. Event target. Rev is foo and first, so in the outer. We don't do it on the inner. And if I were to inspect the inner, whoops, whoopsie daisy. Whoopsie daisy. If I inspect the inner, I break everything again. I have a feeling that rel, while rel works, rev does not. If I do set attribute foo rev to foo, then I'll probably get it. And then I think I have a bug to file, because I suspect we're supposed to be firing those events. Content link handler. So we hit it once, and we hit it only once. That's so strange. And I break things whenever I set my breakpoint there, it seems. Like, foo. It does have a rel, so what's the problem? Well, let's reattach the debugger and find out. This debugger. And I think we'll have a story after all this is done. 56792. Okay. It's 1. Then it does fire. Again. And it does fire. And a third does fire. So we do end up attempting to fire all 3 events. It's just they're not being received. So that's a good sign. All right, I think it's... Oh, and another event is fired. Somewhere else. Maybe that's one of the preloading documents in the back. Okay. Rev equals canonical. Rev equals style sheet. I think I want to reread this code now. HTML link element rev. I think I need to know more about what this is doing and when it was introduced. Oh man, this is old stuff. D. Holbert messed around with this recently. Why? He corrected some grammar. Oh, way back in the day in 2009, he fixed a lot of its usages. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together a test case. I've sort of got a local test case, so I'm going to put together a I'm going to put together a good test case for the DOM link added event and make sure that it's being fired properly, and DOM link removed and DOM link changed. And we're going to file a new bug, and I think that it might block our page style menu work because we need that stuff fixed. It might simply be removing this chunk here. It's possible we were never firing DOM link added, DOM link removed. I don't understand this. So just so we're all clear what's going on here, if the rev is specified, no, has non-empty. If rev is not specified and we do find style sheet or empty in the rel bits, then we don't fire an event. I don't know why that is. But I have a feeling this bit's bogus now. I have a feeling this is no longer relevant. Alright, well, let's write our test case. Well, first of all, yeah, let's write our test case. So where would this go? Where would such a test case go? DOM link added test. There's already some tests. DOM link listener. What are these tests? Execute soon, set handler function, run icon discovery, but like nothing here about style sheets, nothing here about style sheets, and that's the only style sheet in here. And sorry, where were these? These are under browser discovery. How about DOM link removed? Doc shell test Chrome. We probably want to like test the document. Like, are there other events that would fit? Like DOM meta added, DOM meta removed. That we can find a good test directory. No. DOM will open modal dialog. That sounds like something that would have been tested. DOM tests. There we go. DOM tests browser. Maybe we'll put them there. Okay, so vim browser.ini. We're going to create a new test. It's going to be called browser DOM link events. And we're going to DOM link events.js. DOM link events. Great. Okay, so here's our test. Test that DOM link added, DOM link removed, and DOM link changed work for style sheets. Maybe I should rename this DOM link style sheet events. Yes. So move browser DOM link events to browser DOM link style sheet events.js, and then vim browser.ini all the way to the bottom, DOM link style sheet events. Hooyah! Oh, come on, Wacky Morning DJ. What's wrong with... Come on. It's not receiving me. Here. There we go. It was just backed up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So back to my tests. Sebel browser DOM. Great. So add task. What we're going to do is we are going to create a test page, and it's going to have a style sheet in it. Excuse me, I'm a little bit tired. So I'll put in some dummy. I can actually copy over from CSS test index to here. Style sheet. Okay. And then copy project, CSS test, style. First.css, we'll copy it here, but we'll call it style sheet. CSS. And then under browser.ini, under the support files, we'll say, wait. Instead of calling it index, I'll call index.html. We'll call it style DOM style. What was the test called? DOM link style sheet page. Sure. Maybe that's a good enough name. And under browser.ini, we'll say DOM link style sheet page.html, and then style sheet.css. Great. And now back to our test. So the page's name, const page URL equals, now I think a server runs anytime you run the tests, like a local server. And so you can refer to things in the test directory based on this example.com path, and then you pass it like the path to the test stuff. In this case, we want browser DOM tests browser. And so we want that, and then we want the name of our page, which is DOM link style sheet page. Boom. So browser test utils with new tab. Yeah, with new tab, and I'm going to pass it gbrowser and a URL of about home, or about robots, whatever, or about blank is fine. And then the second argument is the generator function. And then in here, I want to actually load our page, but before I do that, I want to like add the event handler. And how do I do that? Because I need the page to be remote first. So how about instead of loading about blank, I load about, what's a good remote page? It's a known remote page. Well, I can load the page and then add the event listeners and then reload the page. That's one thing. So I can do that. So that gives us the browser, and then okay, true, a thing happened. So let's make sure that this all works. Test. I might have to build mock build DOM tests browser. It's got to reticulate some splines first. Ah. I'm playing sounds here. Come on. This is...
It's me, Mario.
There we go.
Hey, what happened? What happened?
I guess if I don't like play any sounds for a while, like, sometimes things get broken. I don't know. DOM tests browser. Then it was browser DOM link style sheet events. Do. Now, this should just open a window, load our page, close the tab, and then be done with it. Hooray! Except it failed, because this test contains no passes or fails or to-dos. So what? We never ran this? Oh, right. I'm supposed to yield this. Let's try that again. Man, it takes too long to spin up these this test framework. Great. Okay, so we have our loaded browser, and then what I'll do is I'll content task spawn browser. Whoop. Just thinking here. Maybe what I'll do instead is have like a wait for DOM, wait for event, wait for content event really is what I want. Does browser test utils have something like that? Wait for event specified element. No. No, we have to do it ourselves. So I'll create a function that's called wait for DOM event, and I'll give it a name, and then our browser name, and then what we'll do is we'll return a browser return content task dot spawn browser, and then we'll pass the name down, and what we'll do is content, and then what does the content link handler JSM add event listener. Yeah, it's just DOM link added. Easy peasy. Name function event, and then I don't know what we want to do with the event, but for now I think it's just it's fine to just see it. We'll see that the event happens. So function on event, then content.remove event listener on event, and it's topic observed. Thing is, I want to return new promise or yield promise that resolves resolve. Yeah. I think that's what we want to do. And then what I can do is let added equal wait for DOM event, DOM link added. I'll pass it the browser as the first argument. And then I will reload the page. There's definitely a way of doing that. Tab.reload, gbrowser.reload. It's got to be, they're just like browsers. Browser.reload probably. Yeah, browser.reload is fine. Reload, and then I can yield browser test utils. Loaded. Browser loaded? Yeah, yield browser loaded. And browser. And yield added promise. So, I believe okay, true, all is well. Sure. Let's run that. And this will probably fail. We should probably have a timeout in here because our test is going to fail. We will never see this event. This event will not fire. Yeah, this event will not fire because things are broken. So what we should do is we should have a timeout. Is set timeout available to me here? I could do content.set timeout, I think. Is there other uses of it? Yeah, alright. Add event listener. And then what I'll do is what do I want? How do I want to structure this? So I need a timeout. I need to be able to cancel the timeout. Okay. So we add the event listener. It's kind of a chicken and egg problem here. I think what we'll do is like function on success equals function equal, we'll do an arrow function because those are nice. Success equal that on success. And we'll also do let timeout ID content clear timeout ID content.set timeout. 5. We'll default to 5 seconds timeout. Let timeout ms equals timeout times 1,000. And we'll set the timeout of, what we'll do is we will remove the event listener on success. and we will reject. So reject with the message that hit timeout waiting for, and then we can use a template string waiting for name event. There we go. And then we'll say timeout ID equals this. So this is all kind of circuitous, but here's how it works. We define the timeout ID, and there's like it exists, and then we define this function. It doesn't execute, but it's defined, and it makes reference to timeout ID. So it's sort of using the timeout ID in its closure, so in the parent scope, but it's not executed yet. Then we add the event listener, and then we also that's when we set the timeout ID, and so that's how this function is able to know what timeout ID is. And in this case, we reject instead of resolving. Clear the timeout. Okay. Resolve. So turn content as spawn. So we wait for DOM event. Added promise. So this should reject now after 5 seconds, I believe. If I've done everything right, and that doesn't always happen, then this should reject after a number of seconds. Oh, something went wrong. Hit timeout waiting for DOM link added event. Really? That was too... Oh, I didn't even give it how long to wait. That's why. Well, at least we know that when it fails, it'll fail quickly. It'll fail properly. But we need to tell it to wait the right number of seconds. So, oh, still reference error. Timeout MS. Not defined. Let timeout MS. I defined it right here. Oh, because I see. I need right. Name timeout MS. That's what I'll do. Well, no, that's kind of ugly. Args. So let do some destructuring, and then that should work. Roo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Okie dokie.
Oh, yeah.
So this should wait for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's like, nope, I didn't see the event, and it fails. Nope. So something did not happen correctly. Now, before we were failing too quickly, now we're not failing at all. Timeout ID. So we set out the timeout in milliseconds. Timeout's supposed to be 5 milliseconds. So I guess we'll go back to good old dump statements. Going to wait for string concatenation because I'm a sucker. Milliseconds. And then setting timeout. And then dump. Timeout hit. Woo! Excuse me. That's what I get for live hacking after eating lunch. And we've got like it's 2:25. Let me see if is Ricardo streaming today? Ricardo, hey, are you streaming today? Interesting. We never hit the timeout. I'm pretty sure this is how it works. Content dot set timeout. Right? Dump got timeout ID. Dump clearing timeout. Covering all my bases. Interesting. We don't ever hit the timeout. Why is that? Content.set timeout. Maybe it doesn't like the arrow function. I don't know why that would be the case, but maybe that's the case. Let's also decrease the amount of time. We'll make it 1 second. If it doesn't like the arrow function, that's very surprising. I mean, JavaScript surprises me every day. Oh, is it possible that we somehow clear whenever we might clear out all the timeouts once the page is reloaded? That's probably what's going on. All the timeouts get cleared. So I don't think we can use set timeout here. I think we have to use something a little stronger. I think we need to bring in cu.import resource Jiri modules timer.jsm. I think that's available to us. And that gives us like a sort of a global set timeout that will persist from page load to page load. I think also it gives us clear timeout. Yes, it does. So let's see if that works. All right. And we should, instead of waiting for 1 second, we'll wait a little bit longer. We'll wait for 5. I think in the final, like, I don't know, 5 might be too long. I don't know how much we want to wait for the content process to send this event. There we go. Working nice and proper. What we'll do is we'll resolve with the event target dot href. Let href equals, okay, we'll make is href, and then the page, DOM-link style sheet page, what will it be? Will be stylesheet.css. expected source attribute. Okay. So that's how I think it would work. That's one test. And then we could like let changed promise equals wait for DOM event browser DOM link changed. And then what I'll do is will yield content task spawn browser. Yeah, function. And then I will content dot document body content document query selector link link dot source equals nothing dot css, and then we'll yield the changed promise, and then let removed promise equals wait for DOM event browser DOM link removed yield content task spawn. So we're gonna get rid of that thing. Link content document query selector link dot remove yield removed promise. Okay, it's a sloppy test, but it'll do the job. I think this will fail in 3 different ways. I think it's going to fail to see any of these events. We're gonna watch it fail. We're gonna do. That's one fail. Oh, and when it fails, the first one, it doesn't work for the others. All right, that's fine. So let me see what happens if I just get rid of this. If I get rid of this, does that make it pass? Will that make it work? That's under what? What is this folder? DOM HTML mock build DOM HTML. And that might take a couple of seconds to build. And if that's the case, and our tests all pass, then I think it's time. I think it's time that we put up a bug, the test case, and maybe our speculative patch. So let's file the bug. File under DOM core, DOM events maybe. Okay, done building. What about oh, still didn't see it. Didn't see DOM link added. That's depressing. Now why would that be? That's even after I removed that thing. Nada. Well, shoot. So my speculative fix is not good enough. But manipulation window, core, CSS object, events, that's one place. I think I'm just going to put it under events for now. DOM events. DOM link added, DOM link changed. and DOM link removed are not fired for style sheets. It looks as if we don't fire any of these events for style sheets. At least in my testing. Now, I want to double check that before I go whole hog and like tell people that that's the case. Let me just double check. So, I'm going to go to another page. Content link handler. So, DOM link added, and we're going to go to mikeconley.ca. And my slow server is going to load this page.
Mamma mia!
So that was not helpful. I expected us to, yeah, all right, we did hit it. And so what's the event target? Event target. It is a ping back. And now we continue, and what's the event target? It's the profile. And that's it. We don't get any more. Ping back. Profile. Nothing about style sheets. I don't even have, I'm not even sure how, I've got a favicon in here. Where does that come from? Oh, it's probably just get the server favicon. Alright. Okay, so I'm pretty confident now. These events might be useful for bug. And so I'm going to say it blocks would be if we decide to keep a cache of available style sheets in a page on the Zool browser in the parent process for sync access. Okay, and then I will test case incoming. So let's post the test case. Revert this, revert that. And then what do we have here? We have, oh, I should add the test file itself, DOM, test browser, DOM. So that, finally what we get, what we post is that. I should probably add the two support files I added, which were DOM, and then DOM test browser style sheet. And then I will create a commit called test case bug, what is it? Test bug, test case. R dot push dash C review, because we just want to push the top one, and dash C allows us to choose the top Wait. Unknown revision. Review. Wait. HG push help. Push dash C. Review the specific change set only. HG push C dot. And then review. Ricardo is not doing his streaming today because his machine is broken. Sorry to hear about your machine. So no hour of design today, I'm afraid. But what I'm going to do is once I've pushed this up, I'm going to publish the patch so that's attached to the bug, and then I'm going to call it a day. I think we crawled forward a little bit. This is kind of an annoying discovery, but we made... Oh. Well, I will. Great. So here's the test case. Yeah, and I think we should be firing those. So I go to the bug. And there we go. That's it. So we filed this thing. Filed this to the notes. Test. Purely from observation. So filed that for not firing. DOM link added. DOM link removed. DOM link changed. For style sheets. Let's see what happens. Because maybe there's a good reason. And if there is, well then maybe we're back to the original plan of dynamically filling in, or asynchronously filling in that menu pop-up whenever the user brings it up. Folks, I think I'm going to cap it for episode 29. This was kind of a low energy episode. It didn't really smash through any hardcore bugs or anything like that. I didn't feel like we made huge strides, but I think we made an important discovery. I learned a lot about DOM link added, DOM link removed, DOM link changed. We actually got to explore multiple levels where we were at the Chrome content script level, and then we got down into the guts of the HTML element source down here, an HTML link element, and sort of untangled what this was. And then we wrote a test case, and now we've filed a bug, and we'll see what happens. Follow that bug if you're curious to know what happens, or I'll let you know next Wednesday if you don't want to follow the bug. Okay, so I think I'm gonna cap it. Thank you so much for watching The Joy of Coding. You've been a wonderful audience, and I will see you next week with episode 30. Have a great week.